Our first three albums focused on the Western European classical music canon, whereas this album not only ventures to a new continent, but also a more contemporary time frame with folk songs that are arranged by the two of us from the last 90 years or so, and then pieces that were commissioned by us and written for us in the last 10 years.
What's especially exciting is that these are all world premiere recordings to arrangements of Chinese folk songs, which originally are for these Chinese traditional instruments, never before been recorded on cello and piano.
Nor do they exist for cello and piano.
Right, exactly. So in some cases we were even creating accompaniment parts.
Being composers for the first time.
And on the other hand, we have these fantastic commissions by composers who we've known for, in some cases, 10 years, I think. Our listeners, they come not only to listen, but also to see, to spectate something. And so in all of our music videos for this album, we thought about our clothing choices and the different lightings, the looks, the camera angles, all to complement the different moods of the pieces. So that was something really, really fun to explore that we hadn't done in our previous albums before.
So many times when we've played classical music, we've thought, oh, if only we could call up Beethoven and ask him what he meant by something in the score. And with this album, we really were able to, you know, just...
No, we truly did before some
of the day of, yeah.
Some of the sessions we called the composer and said, what do you mean by this?
Or like, are we interpreting this correctly?
You know, the beauty of the work that we've done is that there's so much give and take that's possible with composers, and it's such a collaborative process. So for many of these pieces, some of the composers didn't play cello. So I think Paul was the only one who was a cellist himself. You know, they would ask me, oh, can you even physically do this on the instrument? Or can you make this sound? Or how would I, if I want to create the sound, how would I notate it? So they would send text messages of like a picture of the score and be like, is this possible? And I would be like, yes, this is possible.
Or you would send voice memos sometimes too. You would sometimes say like, there's this fingering possibility, or this is what it sounds like with a harmonic. I think it was fun both sides. Commissioning has been a central part of our ensemble's artistic mission from the beginning. Our first commission was more than 10 years ago. And partly it's because we now feel so privileged to have what we consider standard repertoire by, let's say, Prokofiev or Shostakovich. It took people like Rostropovich, for example, to make friends with all these composers and to have them write music for him that he then premiered and championed, and audiences and presenters and musicians fell in love with all over the world, and now they're considered to be like the classical music canon. And basically we would like to be some of those leading role models for our generation and for those to come. And so we are now forging these close collaborations and relationships with composers of our time in the hopes...
we really believe in.
And who we connect with and who we really feel that they have something innovative and special to say. And it's our hope that hundreds of years from now, these pieces will become the canon of that time. And so this is how classical music continues to evolve and grow, and how we can also relate to listeners of today. It's really amazing to have that kind of, I guess in some ways, confidence in the way that you're recording something and putting it out there, especially for these recordings, which are the landmark reference recordings. We're hoping that future generations of cellists and pianists will be able to reference these and know that they're kind of getting a sense of what the composer truly feels, but then also that we've put our unique stamp on them as well.
But that was, I think, probably on one hand the most rewarding and also the most difficult part of this album was knowing that we are the first people to put this music out in the world. And as you said, for years and generations to come, people will be listening back on these when they're learning these pieces and using them as the standard. So it was liberating to be able to speak with these composers and know that whatever we were doing, they fully stood by it. But on the other hand, it's these fresh works that people are hearing for the first time.
It's been a wonderful process, and I think that's why we feel so passionately about this album and about every piece on it. It's just that from first to last note, we've been an integral part of the whole.
We've invested everything. Really.
Yes,
it's a total labor of love.